Alrighty, so we got a shark movie. It's about time Landshark Reviews did a movie about a shark. Well, not about a shark, but involving a shark. So, The Shallows from 2016 with Blake Lively. Spoiler alert, you know the drill. I will be discussing the movie. Apologies for my voice, I'm still a little bit sick, but, you know, what can you do, right? Alright, so, yeah. Good intro to the movie. Little boy finds a little GoPro washed up on the beach and takes a peek at the video, and there's some surfing stuff, and then there's a guy getting killed by a shark who must have been wearing that GoPro. So kid's not traumatized at all. Anyway, fast forward, we've got Blake Lively, our character Nancy, who is being driven to this exclusive, like, secret beach that she heard about. She's supposed to be meeting her friend there, but her friend bailed because there was some cute guy or something. She's like, don't wait up for me, teehee. Alright, cool. So Carlos, the guide, takes her out there. There's a bit of a language barrier. They can communicate for the most part, but it's like only simple words in both languages can be understood. So that's always fun. Anyway, he drops her off at the beach, and she's like, it's okay, I'll get an Uber back. And he's like, who's Uber? And she's like, never mind. So, anyway, she's a surfer. She lives in Texas. The waves obviously on the coast of Texas. It's not anything near wherever she is now. So, she's out traveling the world, essentially. You learn that through a phone call she makes before going in the water to her dad. Well, she goes in the water and has some fun first, and then comes back and takes a break. Anyway, she calls her dad and her sister, and basically it's revealed that she kind of took a break from med school to go travel and do her things after her mom died or whatever. Clear her mind or whatever it is. Anyway, the dad's basically like, come back. Like, I'm explaining it like it's a guilt trip, but I don't think it was meant as a guilt trip, and it's not really played out as a guilt trip either. Sorry, just throat. Anyway, that doesn't matter too much. So, so that's fine. So there's two other guys in the water too, two other surfers, and she's kind of talking to them. And when she goes back in the water, they end up surfing together and making kind of friends or whatever. As the day goes on, they warn her essentially. She's like, "Is there anything I should look out for?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's some rocks over there. Be careful around there because there's coral it stings like jellyfish, basically." She's like, "Okay, that's good to know. I will avoid that." Anyway, they're doing their thing, catching some sick waves. The beach is gorgeous, by the way. Like, I get why she wanted to go there if she saw pictures of it or whatever. But yeah, anyway, the day progresses and it's getting a little bit late, and the two gentlemen are like, "All right, we're gonna head her," and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna catch one more." I don't know what the term is, set of waves, I guess. And then I'm going to head her too, but, you know, nice meeting you guys, and, you know, take her easy. So that's what she does. She goes and paddles out and waits for another wave. And that's when all the stuff happens with the shark. So she gets bumped off of her board by this shark, who, it turns out, it's its feeding ground because there's a beached, or like a whale carcass floating there. So this shark is in feed mode. Yeah, good times. So it knocks her off her board and ends up biting her leg, and she makes a swim for it, ends up climbing up onto the dead, bloated, rotting whale. Lovely, right? And basically escaping the shark that way, but she's bitten and it's not looking great. She's losing blood in the water. She obviously needs to avoid getting the shark more excited by adding more blood in the water. But she can't sit on this whale forever. It's lodged in the coral, so it's not going anywhere. But as the shark is eating, it's slowly pushing it off the coral until eventually it does free the whale, and now it's free floating. And this is not good because it could go out to sea, and then she's screwed, you know. So that's the whole thing that happens. She sees one little rock there. When the tide's high, or when the tide is like in between high and low, there's just enough room on it for her to like climb onto it and whatnot. So she makes a break for it and does make it to the rock. Oh, she has a roommate, by the way. There's a little injured seagull. His wing is kind of clipped and bloody. I don't know. I think it showed what happened to him. I don't remember, though. But anyway, that's her roommate, so that's fun. So she's not alone in all of this, at least, right? Anyway, she sits, she looks at her watch. She says, okay, it's like 5 hours till the tide goes down. She takes off her wetsuit and wraps it around her leg as kind of like a make-style tourniquet for now, and sort of passes out, essentially. She wakes up as it's getting dark already, and she can see the tide is down a bit. She looks and she realizes, oh shit, there needs to be blood flow still, so she takes her thing off of her leg, and she takes her earrings and makes kind of like a suture with her earrings and her necklace, because her flesh is ripped at like a kind of diagonal flap. Yeah, it's super pleasant. So like the shark bit and ripped but didn't rip off, which is good, I guess, ultimately, because easier to stop the bleeding of a flap than a... Ugh. Anyway. So she does that. She does a makeshift suture and puts her... ends up ripping one of her sleeves off of her wetsuit so she can wear it and also use the sleeve as a compression, because it's getting pretty cold as it gets dark, right? So she's freezing. That's essentially, I think, what woke her up or whatever. Anyway, that happens. She might have sutured before. It really doesn't matter. Anyway, long story short, her sleeve goes on her leg now. So her leg is now compressed with this wetsuit that is designed to be tight on an arm anyway. So it's pretty good. It'll work, definitely. Now the issue is getting back to shore. But it's like 200 meters out or something, she said. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's far. And it turns out the shark is circling, moving around the area, feeding on the whale still, obviously, but so it's kind of in constant predatory mode, which is not ideal. Yeah. So her plan is to essentially... So as the tide is rising, it's rising over the point of her rock that she's sitting on. So she needs to get off of there before she's just floating in the water, right? Oh man, I totally missed like half of the movie. What the hell? Okay, rewind. We're going back a little bit, back to the beginning. Well, not the beginning, but back to the first landing on the rock, pass out, whatever, tourniquet. Anyway, night passes. The next day, so this is a full other day now, her two surfing... No, she doesn't see the surfing. There's a dude passed out on the beach who's been drinking throughout the night, I guess. And she manages to yell loud enough to sort of wake him up, but he's drunk still. He's out of it a little bit. So she's waving frantically, and he just thinks, oh, hey, how's it going? Way out in the middle of the ocean. He's drunk. He doesn't know. But she finally kind of motions to her stuff that's on the beach, and there's a phone, and she's like trying to say, like, can you use my phone? Call someone. So he slowly gets it and stumbles towards the stuff, and she's like, oh, thank God, thank God, thank God. And he's looking, and he's trying to open the phone, and it needs a password or a thumbprint or whatever, and he just... whatever, pockets it, ends up basically just robbing her, so that's nice. You gotta love the locals, eh? No, I'm kidding. Just one asshole, but anyway, that happens, and he frigs off, and he starts walking down the beach to leave, and she's like, oh, so she gives up. And then he sees her surfboard floating in the water still, and it's somewhat close to the shore, and he's like, I'm gonna take that too. So he swims out and gets the surfboard, and he's really drunk. He shouldn't be swimming in general anyway. He falls off it a couple times. He's splashing around, making a big ass scene, which you can guess our good friend the shark decides, hey, look at that. That looks tasty. And he gets he gets eaten. And there's a lovely scene of him crawling onto the beach, like ripped in half. So his legs are there, his torso's crawling there, and he dies clearly. So that's fun. So she gets to see that. That's a nice little sign. Her and her seagull friend get to witness this man rob her and then be ripped in half. I mean, karma's a bitch, right? So anyway, that happens. Later on, that's when her two buddies that she met the previous day show up, and they're swimming out to the water. And she was trying to warn this drunk guy too, like saying, no, there's a shark, but he's too drunk to know. So she tried. E for effort. You know, the guy robbed her and she still tries to save his life. Props to you, Nancy. Good job. Anyway, yes, so her two surfer buddies that she met the next day come, and she sees the Jeep pull up, same Jeep, the two guys get out, they start paddling out. She manages to catch their attention, and she starts yelling, go back, there's a shark. And they're like, there's no sharks here, like, what are you talking about? She keeps panicking, so one guy turns and I guess goes to the shore to go get help or something, but doesn't make it very far because shark gets him. So he's toast. The other guy is like, oh shit. He starts paddling towards the rock that Nancy's on because it's way closer to the shore at this point. And a wave goes and he's out of view temporarily and then he's gone. So, did the shark get him? Well, hang tight. She's looking around for him, like, shit, where'd he go? Anyway, he pops up right at the rock. I guess he dove under to avoid the big wave, right? Because it showed her doing that when she was surfing. I don't know anything about surfing, but I mean, that makes sense. I'd rather go under the wave than take it to the face, right? And then just push you back. You lose all your progress. So anyway, I guess he did that. But he surfaces right at the rock, and she's attempting to pull him up. I guess he saw the shark, because he's kind of panicking. And he just gets pulled right under. And she's, like, in the water, but then the water instantly, like, red starts seeping. So he's torn to shreds. Shark ate him, too. So the shark's killed 3 people now. Bit her. Eaten that whale. Yeah. And this is when she starts... It starts setting in on her that, yeah, this is... Well, obviously she knows it's not a good position to be in. I can't speak English, so I don't even know where I was going with that thought. Anyway, she's stressing out, long story short. After a while, she notices the helmet that the second guy that was right by her was wearing with a little GoPro on it. She's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what was going in her head. Record a message, someone will see it and help her, or record a message and it'll be her last will and testament or whatever. Anyway, she's been kind of mapping out the area in her head, which is very smart. So she's like, okay, it takes 32 seconds for the shark to get from the whale to the rock. So I have 32 seconds to get from this rock to that very nearby, very small rock where the GoPro and helmet are on. So she does that. She makes it to that little small rock, grabs the GoPro, her 32 seconds are up, the shark is back, she's got to sit tight. But this is pretty much, it's not quite water level, but close enough that the shark attempts to at her. Ends up hitting that scratchy coral or whatever, which her foot hit too, so that's an extra added bonus of fun for her. But the shark does not like the coral, so it frigs off for a little bit. Goes back to the whale. She's got 32 seconds to get back to the rock. She does. And, yeah. So that's fun, but the tide is rising now. And when she got there, the tide wasn't all the way up. So it's going to go up and over where the level of rock is eventually, and she'll be basically in open water at some point. So she sees a buoy in the distance, or a buoy, or whatever you want to call it, and she swims out to it, or she plans in her head, okay, I gotta swim out to this thing. But it's a lot farther than that little rock was, and I'm gonna need a lot more than 32 seconds. She's trying to figure out what she's doing. She's like, alright, so first things first, we'll watch the video and see what we got here. She watches it, shows the guys surfing, shows the guy's point of view being eaten by the shark, so that's fun. Notices the shark has like a big hook in his mouth or something. That comes into play a little bit later, vaguely, but small detail. Anyway, she records her message basically saying, you know, Mom, Dad, love you, blah, 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 blah. Before that, she kind of explains the whole situation. I'm trapped here, bitten by a shark, losing a lot of blood, gonna try to make it to that buoy over there, however you pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it, actually. Gonna try to go to that floaty guy. And we'll see what happens from there. And she says, if anyone finds this, can you send it to? Gives her address and says, that's where my dad and sister live. Delete that first part and, like, I guess of the two guys surfing and getting drowned or something, I don't know. And send this to them, basically. tell him I love him, etc. So she throws it as far as she can into the water, and I mean, it will eventually make it to the shore, right? So there you go. As you probably figured out right now, that clip of the boy finding the GoPro was actually from this point in the movie. You know, just like this is what happened. Now let's see how this happened. So that happens. Anyway, yes, the boy finds the thing. And he's looking at the video, and it's like, oh god, that was a person like getting sharked to death. Yeah, getting sharked is not fun, apparently. So he runs off. She makes it to the buoy. I can't remember how exactly. I think it was something to do with like the shark being distracted by the oh, that's how. Okay, so she makes a break for it and then realizes that the entire area of water between the buoy and the rock are full of jellyfish, like thick. I think it's called a smack of jellyfish, a group of them. There are a lot. And she remembers, okay, the guy said the coral stung like jellyfish and it hurt like hell, so yeah, I believe that. And the shark didn't like the coral, so it's not going to like these jellyfish. So this is my only opportunity. I got to swim real ass carefully through these jellies and make it to the floaty by. So that's what she does. Of course, she gets stung once, and it's excruciating because I don't know if any of you have been stung by a jellyfish. I have not, but I've heard it's awful. Side note, you're not supposed to pee on it, apparently. The Friends thing, where they're like, you have to pee on the jellyfish, don't do that. It makes it worse, is what I've learned. So, don't pee on your jellyfish sting. It's a daily occurrence. I mean, it happens to us all the time, so there's your advice. Anyway, she does make it. The shark attempts at her, but like gets hit by jellies and frigs off a little bit, swims around a long way. She's on it, but it has like a mesh floor, so her blood is dripping into the water, which is going to draw the attention of the shark, which it does. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's funny. Meanwhile, she looks and there are dark clouds in the distance, so a storm's coming, but then she sees there's a boat or something on the horizon. She's like, ah, okay. She's thinking, and she sees a little lockbox on the buoy, and she breaks it open, and there's a flare gun, but all the flares fall into the water, of course. So she grabs one and aims it, and it goes like, it was a dud apparently, or it was wet or something. So she's like, ah, shit. And they're slowly floating away. She has to grab them and put them in the thing, and she shoots another flare, and this one is good. It goes high and mighty. But unfortunately, it's too late. Boat's gone. Yeah, good times. So she's like, for fuck's sakes. By now, there's enough blood in the water that the shark is like, oh, okay, cool, snack time. So shark attacks the area, and one of the support chains that keeps it upright breaks. So now it's not really stable. It's still upright, but it can be tipped, and it gets tipped by the sharko. So that's fun. Shark rams it, tips it over, so it's completely sideways. Now she doesn't have anywhere to go. She's kind of staying inside like the mesh metal structure of it, because you know how they have like the 4 metal beams and like the crisscross little mesh things, whatever. Anyway, she's in that, but the shark's biting through that like it's just a mild inconvenience. So that's not good. She's pressed right up against the base of it, and I guess the metal's too thick for it to do anything. She ends up shooting a flare at it, and it frigs off temporarily, and it comes back. And I missed what happened in the scene. I guess maybe there was like a kerosene leak or something, because she fires another flare at the shark, and the water lights on fire, and the shark lights on fire. Yeah, shark wouldn't even know what the hell fire was, right? It lives underwater its whole life, so it's freaked out. It goes right underwater. Fire is put out, obviously, because water everywhere, so boom, that helps. But he's not happy. And she's pulling on the chain and trying to... I don't know what her thinking was here, but it worked out, so she obviously knows more about shit than I do. Anyway, she breaks off the chain, and the chain pulls her deep underwater, and it's like pulling her down quickly, and the shark is swimming after her about the same speed. It's like charging full speed to keep up with this chain pulling her down. And at the last second, she moves, and the shark gets impaled on the I guess, the base of the anchor or the weight or something. So shark's dead. Yeah. Shark's dead. She floats to the surface. Then they cut to, whatchamacallit, Carlos or whatever is who the boy got. And he sees her in the water. He runs in there, pulls her out. Does like mild CPR. She pukes up a bunch of water. Good times. And yeah, everything's groovy. They cut to 1 year later, and she's back at the beach looking at the waves, kind of like, guess it's her first time going back. This time she brought her sister, so that's fun. Her sister's gonna go surfing with her after all that, and her dad's there too, and they're all happy. And oh, when she was pulled out too, she like briefly saw a vision of her deceased mom, so that was like, I guess, press on was the whole moral of that story. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but like, her dad was like, you know, your mom kept fighting until the end. You got to do the same. I know it's hard, blah, blah. Anyway, so moral of the story, press on no matter how hard it gets. And she did. Her sister calls her doctor, so it's very clear that she finished her med school. And I guess they're celebrating on vacation somewhere. And then she goes into the water and with her sister and roll the credits. Sorry, I'm dying of thirst again here. And that is The Shallows. So overall, it's another one of those kind of like one-place movies. You know, they're on the same kind of general area, the entire thing. I mean, yeah, you could argue, okay, she was in the Jeep, she was on the whale, she was on the rock, she was on the buoy, but it was all in the water essentially. So for one of those movies, I kind of like those movies because you have to captivate the audience enough with the acting, the events that happen in that little place, the psychological stuff, to keep your interest, because there are a lot of movies that I've seen that are not good that are in one place, and it's just like, oh my god, this is awful. Could use some, you know, Michael Bay explosions here or something. But anyway, this one you didn't really need that. So there was enough drama with the shark and everything, and like the people occasionally getting eaten, that it had a good flow. I was never looking at my watch saying, oh, is this over or whatever. Was it phenomenal? I don't think it was phenomenal. For a shark movie, it was pretty good, because let's be real, there are a lot of bad shark movies. This one was okay. I think I will give it a 6.3. That's pretty reasonable. You know, it's just, it was fun. It was good enough. Should you watch it? Yeah, check it out. Watch it once if you like that style of movie. If you don't, you probably won't like it. Or if you don't like shark movies or whatever, I mean, obviously don't watch it then. But if any of the things about it sounds like it might be okay, it probably will be for you. Because that was basically my impression. It's like, some of this looks okay, so I'll check it out. And I did. And it was okay. So there you go. There you have it. Acting was pretty decent. I mean, the effects were pretty good for the most part. Like the cut was like, ew. Shark looked relatively okay too. So yeah. Overall, I give it a pass. That's all I got. Take her easy.